There it is. We are.
Cool.
Well, we'll see. It's always like a roll of the dice. Like, oh, here comes. Oh, YouTube says receiving our content. Oh, here goes that, and then everybody's phone will light up here in a moment. Sherwin's will start, but there's 151 people that are subscribed that would see it. And there's our ugly mugs and your beautiful car and much better looking face than ours on the. I'm speaking for me and Sherwin here, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine, really.
We ugly. We ugly. And let's go ahead and tweet this out. PETM 141. Oh, come on. 144, wrong. 141 is live with your driver, Jensen Jorgensen. Oh, shoot. Log in and tweet. Yes, remember me. Log in. There we go. And tweet. All right. Should be on Twitter now. And
all right.
Make sure I put 141 in there, and should have some folks jumping on and saying, hey, what's up, everybody? Beast, always Beast. Right up front. Good to see you, man. Check this out. Look at that. Like, this is the coolest camera angle we've ever had on a guest. So this is fantastic. Props
I don't
to
think
Jensen.
we've ever had race cars in the background.
Right. Y'all look over his right shoulder, our left, and right next to that too, and you might see a little sticker on there. But it's going to get a little more prominent here in the next few days. We'll talk about it on the show.
I see either a argon or a acetylene tank back there in the background.
Yeah. Oh, Steph is on. What's up, Steph? My sister. She's there. Diet DP is here. Good to see you.
Nice. Roger.
Oh man, PTM sticker is centered. You got that, Roger? Brad, Brandon, what's up, y'all? Car looks good, they're saying. Oh, yeah. I have nothing to do with that. What? Oh, you're getting Sherwin's getting a phone call. What'd you do to your arm? You're busted up. Oh, he's laughing. You got to come back to the mic to tell this one, evidently. Like, his forearm is... Show the people.
No. This ain't even half of it. You should see my left shin.
Oh, no. What'd you do?
What do you think I did?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, you ate crap, dude. What?
A fat sack. A set of wooden stairs.
Oh, no.
It was not good.
Oh, man.
Thankfully, I didn't spill a drink.
Holy mackerel.
Gravity got the better.
Roger, did you do a gravity check?
So gravity is undefeated. I heard that today when Sergio put 5 in the drink at 15.
Oh, yeah.
Gravity is indeed undefeated.
Undefeated. World champion. I love it. Oh, well, let's see here. We got some folks. We got a bunch of folks watching now. Good to see y'all. Y'all can see who we got on the show. Mr. Jensen Jorgensen, your driver of the PETM Posse.
He actually did worse than Tin Cup, Mick. He got a 13 Tin Cup. Everyone's going to remember you 12.
A 13. Holy crap.
I was tweeting, Sergio's blown.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
And that was at 8. He was sitting at 8. He put 2 more in the water.
Holy crap. Wow. That's
4 of them was like the same exact shot.
That's a buster. Shoot. You know what? I'll tell you this much. That is higher than I would get on any time playing at the Masters because I would cheat or give up or,
pick the ball up and throw it.
Right. Pick the ball up, throw it, and then go drink a beer or something, Like, the heck with this. I'm done.
Yeah, and he finishes round
plus...
Even
on mini golf, yeah.
He finished this round plus 9, which means without that hole, he was 4 under.
What's up, JoJo? Yeah, without that hole.
Dude would have been like second on the leaderboard if he'd have just parred that hole.
Wow. Pull out the big stick at that point. Jeez, that's awesome. Anyway, we're getting deep into golf. All right, Jensen, let's run down the show for you. You were not on the live portion last time, so something that might happen is the audio may go out on you for 30 seconds or a minute. The video is still there, so if you just start picking your nose, people will see it.
And that just happened to me. Yeah, when we first started doing this, I definitely got 2 knuckles in there, and there was nothing that could be done after that.
Yep.
They just saw it.
Yep. It happens, it happens. And then we'll just do intros and stuff. The What You Drinking segment, the car number segment. We take a few minutes to do that, and this is our last time.
Yeah, this is our finale.
This is our finale of the car number segment, so it'll be interesting. Then we'll get on. We'll just be talking with you for a while. Some questions from the PETM Posse. I put in Sherwin just to see where we are on time or whatever. I'll take a look at it. But there was some fun facts on NASCAR.com. I think it's their lead story right now on NASCAR.com. And they have 23 weird but true stats about the season thus far, and some of them were good.
Nice.
Like some of them were like the bad kind of good. Like whoa, somebody has more laps led than Jimmy Johnson, and half the people are going to go who.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. So, and then we'll talk about gassing up, going to Texas, do our picks.
I forgot to put gassing up.
Strange with
no tearing it down, obviously, but
I put tear it down Easter.
Tear down the first, tearing down Easter.
Yeah. Did y'all do anything, Jensen?
What's that?
Did y'all do anything for Easter?
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of family over at the house.
Oh, cool.
So
all right.
We definitely had a big party going on here.
We'll talk about that a little bit, and then we'll do Strange with Stang, and then close us out, and that'll be it. And as always with us, we have short show notes, but we just play off it from there.
Yeah, this won't be a 20-minute show, I promise.
Yeah. So that is it, Jensen. You just smile and show the car, and we're gonna be good to go.
That's good. I can do that.
All right, Sherwin, you ready?
Yep.
You know what? Let's do a sound check, because last time the sound sucked so bad. And I think it was because of that. Let me see. Yeah, my sound's good. Sherwin?
Check.
And
am I good and clear? Am I loud?
Loud and clear, as it turns out. Let me do a silence check. Perfect. All right. Silence is good. I look for like a 1 pixel. I want to see a 1 pixel line. If there's like a 10 pixel line, that means there's some background noise that's not working out, but we're good to go. Let me make sure I got that queued up. We do. All right. We're ready to go. Let's do this. You ready, Sherwin?
Yeah, remember, Jensen, we're going to disappear for about a minute.
Yep.
Just hang on.
Yep.
All righty.
And Jensen, you ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
Here goes nothing. We are recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is a Pregame Engineered Tailgame Era Racing Podcast, episode number 141. Today is Thursday, April 5th, 2018. I'm Tailgame Era Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PETM Podcast studio with Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
Oh, by the way, quick little shout out. Our intro music by Miss Sydney Lett. She just released an album.
She did.
Super excited about it.
That's who we need to have on soon. Woo!
Good call.
Yeah. Let's get Sydney back on. Talk about that thing before we do anything. We got to tell y'all, the PETM Podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. Go to patreon.com/PETM. Join the What You Drinking Club for as little as $1 a month. Get your free koozie. The best part is, every cent in 2018, we're donating to sponsoring drivers. We're going to prove that to you tonight. So join the PETM Posse today. Be a part of the sport you love. This show this week's show is brought to you by our official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. That is big breath for me. And Jensen, if you can hear me, listen up. Here it is. Catherine Kingston, Ashley Stang, David Patterson, Laura Henshaw, Harry Balzania, Mick Rose, Aaron Bearden, Robert Keplinger, Tony Stahl, Colby McClam, Eric Kevner, Ryan Kiefer, Marilyn Levesque, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brandon Crowd, Kathleen McDonald, Stacey Wright, Brandon Carl, Billy Workman, Rika Porter, Jumpy Bob and Les Miller, Jason Rudd, Tommy Witt, and Mark Wiley. Oh, man, how about that one? How about that one, dude? And it's so cool for me to be able to read that in front of the person that is the beneficiary of all this, and that's our premium sponsorship folks right there. So we want to welcome onto the show driver, y'all. I'm gonna get goosebumps saying this. Driver of the number 32 Jorgensen Racing PETM Posse car in the Legends series. It's your driver, y'all, Jensen Jorgensen. Jensen. So we had you on for the announcement, but now you're stuck with us for like a whole ordeal of us bull spitting. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. How are y'all?
Oh, we're good.
Holding down the fort.
Yeah, drink in hand and ready to roll.
There you go. That's that PETM 32 car sound. I like it.
Look at that behind you. This is the first time, y'all, that we've had a driver who has put the car behind him. And just over that left shoulder there and right next to that number 2, y'all can see that sticker, that PETM sticker, and it's going to get a little more prominent as things are coming along. We'll talk about that in a minute. But before we do, Jensen, what are you drinking tonight?
I got, I'm kind of an old person, I guess you could say. I got coffee, but it's in a better cup this time.
I was about to say, that is a sponsor-approved drinking device. The last one was not. Hopefully it's been properly burned and melted down and thrown into the bottom of what's like a bad river, like
the Hudson.
The Hudson, like it's got crap in it and stuff. I don't know.
St. Lawrence Seaway.
Yeah. I learned my lesson from last time. I got.
Well, we might have to spend a couple minutes talking about the Braves and their offense in a little while.
Holy mackerel.
We need a random topic in there somewhere.
Right? Yeah. We'll figure that out. With that, Sherman, what are you drinking on?
I am drinking Jim Beam and Coke Zero, courtesy of the Rusty and Serena Bar and Grill.
I love it. I am doing the same, but you brought some stuff tonight. For our since we're going to Texas.
Yeah. Let me undress this Shiner Farmhouse Rye. We like to try to match one of our beverages with the location proximity to the racetrack. So Shiner is a Texas-made beer.
And we got something in the mystery bag.
And in the mystery bag, since everybody here is from Georgia.
Look out.
We got to have a Georgia bourbon.
Look at that. Hellbender,
too.
Good.
Hellbender bourbon made right here in Decatur, Georgia.
That's awesome. Nice work.
Got that, too.
Nice work. All right. Well, Jensen, in 2 years, we'll share that with you, or when we're not recording, we'll share it with you now. But no, who said that?
Don't tell your dad.
Yeah. Or do. Man, before we get too far, Sherwin, we got to talk about the car number. Okay? This is episode number 141. It's car number 41. But more importantly than the car number, we started 100 episodes ago doing this with car number 42 on March 29th, 2016. So almost to the day, 2 years and 100 episodes later, we're ending this series on car number 41. How crazy is that? Isn't that nuts?
It's like I called it like a grand finale or the end of an era. Or
yeah. So
it took us 2 years to get here.
There's a bittersweet moment to it where it's like, oh, well, we won't have this segment anymore. But boy, we did this segment, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, we'll have 12 or 15 minutes back to do something else with.
That's right, and we have a new segment that we're looking at doing, and y'all stay tuned for that. It should be fun, and maybe get some input from the posse, too, as we go along doing it. I'm looking forward to it. But with that, it is car number 41, so let's do that. Kurt Busch, 147 races in car 41. He's got the most. 5 wins, 31 top 5s, which I thought was pretty cool. That's 1 out of every 5. Casey Mears and Reed Sorensen with over 100 races each. I didn't realize Reed Sorensen, he has 107 races in the 41. I wouldn't have put that together in my own head. That
was like when
3
so
seasons.
Jamie McMurray left the Haviland 42 to go to Roush, the 26, the Crown Royal / Irwin Tools car.
Right.
And so Casey Mears graduated from the 41 Target car to the 42 Haviland car, which left a ride for Reed Sorensen. And the reason why we focus on Reed Sorensen is, despite that he's from somewhere else, like Bourne, he basically grew up in Peachtree City, Georgia.
Yep.
Racing legends at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
That's right. With that, the most wins in the 41, Chris Turner with 72 races and 12 wins. Holy crap on that statistic.
Curtis
1 out
Turner
of 6. Curtis. I said Chris, didn't I? Curtis Turner. Yeah,
you confused me for a second.
Yeah,
that's
sorry.
Okay. That'll happen. That's what happens in live podcasts. So.
Right? The guy who I can never pronounce his name, and one reason I'm glad we don't have to do this anymore is I always forget Jim Paschal or Pascal.
I think they call him Paschal.
Okay. Jim Paschal, 37 races, 3 wins. AJ Foyt has a win.
Foyt?
Wow,
4
that's
like
races.
his reverse number, right?
Yeah.
He's 14.
Good call.
14 must have been taken, so he got 41.
4 races with 1 win, so there's another 4/1. There you go. We're going to do a spotlight driver this time.
Kurt Busch in there anywhere?
Just started with him, 147, 5 wins, 31. I'm going to finish this whole segment off, Sherwin. almost the way we started. We started with car 42,
Perfect.
but we went with car 43 the very next race. Guess who also has 6 wins in the 41 car?
I'm going to guess that his daddy's name was Lee.
Richard Petty, the king, actually has 22 races and 6 wins in 22 races in the 41 car. How cool is that?
That is cool.
And so let's close out this segment over 100 episodes and 2 years with Mr. Richard Petty, the king, with some kind of fun facts. I just found these crawling around the internet. In 1967, I mean, people know this, but digest this a little bit. 48 starts, which means it's a 48-race season. And he won 27 races, y'all. Over half the races.
That was the season that he won 10 in a row, I
10
think.
in a row. Guess where his last race win in that 10 streak was? I mean, you've probably seen the show notes, but it was North Wilkesboro.
Oh, wow.
How crazy is that? And
Actually,
and we've had
I hadn't read them yet. I just
shout out
pasted
to
them into my...
Oh, cool, yeah. Shout out to Save the Track folks. I love this stat. This might be my favorite stat. He has won 10% of Martinsville races ever. And I don't mean like while he was racing he won 10% of them. Like of all the races ever run at Martinsville in the Cup Series, he has still to this day won 10% of them.
He won, what, 14?
15.
15?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's nuts. Yeah.
And Martinsville is, oh, by the way, the oldest still operating track. Started as a dirt track. I think they ran there in 47 before they actually congregated and formed the National Association of Stock Car Auto Racing.
Yep. Whew. And so he was the first. Here's another one. He was the first Cup champion to rake in over $100,000 in a single season with $130K in 67 in that same year. He was credited with inventing the window net that keep drivers, their arms inside the car during a crash. So that was like a Richard Petty invention. So that's kind of cool.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
so thinking about safety
super
way back.
important.
Sure.
Imagine if you started doing those barrel rolls. They were showing the Michael McDowell wreck at Texas in qualifying. Because it's like, what, the 10-year anniversary of that thing? And imagine if he didn't have a window net.
Yeah. Good grief. David Pearson has one Daytona 500 win. It was in 1976 when he famously wrecked with Petty on that last lap, and he crossed the finish line. They clocked him at 25 miles an hour to beat Petty
he was
in 1976.
He was screaming through the grass.
Yeah.
So here's fun fact about David Pearson and Richard Petty. They finished 1-2 63 times.
No.
David Pearson won 32. And
Wow.
Richard Petty won 31.
Wow. That is a hell of a stat. I love it. With that stat, y'all, we're going to raise our glasses to the king.
To the
to
king.
Richard Petty.
Hats
to the
off.
king.
Oh, yeah.
No, hats stay on. He's still
shoot, yeah.
alive and
just
kicking.
showing a little bit too much respect there.
No, it's cool. It's cool. That's the way we've done it. We're going to close it out that way.
Race
y'all.
Hub named him #1 driver of the top 50. So
There it is. You can't argue with that. And with that, y'all, the driver number series is over.
it's
closed.
over. Finished. Fini.
Oh man,
Finale.
That was a lot of 2 years of fun, Sherwin. That really got me. I learned so many new names doing this thing. So many folks. Still can't pronounce Jim Paschal's name right.
Yeah, well, we still can't get Andrew Cansian's name right most of the time.
But folks, we learned about Tiny Lund and the Richmond, Tim Richmond and his family and everything that's gone on. If you want to go back and listen to those, man, what fun.
Now, that's something that if we have a whole lot of time on our hands at some point, if we mash up all the driver numbers in 10 driver segments.
Just get the mic a little closer.
Oh, I'm not talking loud enough. Sorry.
There it is. Perfect.
Proximity. What was that? There was one more thing I wanted to say about that. Oh, so what we did with this driver number series is we let y'all get exposed to our sort of history nerdiness and how much we love this sport. Yep. And this segment is going to go away as it is, but that historical reverence is not. We're not going to tell you yet. This is a teaser. We're not going to tell you what we're doing next. But I don't think you'll be surprised what it ends up being.
I agree. Yeah, because it's got to be something nerdy. It's got to be something, that we can do every week.
Right, and it's got to last.
Fun.
Maybe not 2 years, but
maybe a year. Yep,
maybe a year.
We'll do it.
We haven't let Jensen speak.
I was
going to
say we've just absolutely dominated the show so far, Jensen. So you had a little bit of you perked up a little bit when we were talking about Reed Sorensen. Have y'all had any run-ins with the Sorensen family?
I have not personally. I think my dad might have with Reed Sorensen. I know they raced when my dad raced legend cars back in 01 and 02. Reed Sorensen, was making a name for himself. So I don't know if my dad actually had any like one-on-one conversation. Well, actually one does come to mind. I think he was at the Legend Shop one day at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Reed Sorensen, I believe he crashed in a legend car. And it's funny you were talking about the window nets deal. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure Reed Sorensen got in a legend crash and broke an arm or both arms or something.
Okay.
I might be getting that confused with somebody, maybe David Reagan, but it was either Reed Sorensen or David Reagan. But me personally, no, I have not had an encounter with Reed Sorensen or nothing to talk to him or nothing. But it'd be very neat to talk to him and see how he made a name for himself doing the same thing I did, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, Jensen, let's start with this. Tell us about the upcoming season, what the first few races look like, what you're doing right now. I mean, we see the car behind you. What work needs to be done on it? I mean, let's go deep. We don't have a race to talk about, so let's get into it.
Yeah. First, I got a race Saturday, actually, but the weather's not looking like it's going to cooperate.
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to rain.
Yeah, it looks like it's not going to cooperate with us, but we got some work to do for that if we're gonna try to make that race. But
where's it at?
Atlanta.
Okay,
it's an off-season race. It's not part of the Thursday Thunder series, but we are prepping for that. We got a little bit of engine work we got to get done to try to have a really successful season. So we got a little bit of engine work to do. Of course, the big thing is tires. Keeping your tires fresh and that sort of thing. I think the pro class this year at Atlanta is doing something like they did last season with the tires. So that's going to be very interesting, trying to get the car dialed in for that. So
tell us about what that is. What's the weird rule about tires?
Yeah, well, last season they did that we do a camber cut on these tires when we buy them brand new. It's like buying a brand new tire on a real car. It looks the same where all the tread is, equal.
Mm-hmm.
But with the legend car, you buy a tire where it looks like the tread's equal, but really when you cut it, you camber cut it, so it helps grip levels and it just helps the car overall handle better. So, but what they do with the pro class at Atlanta last season, they made us run the uncut tires as if it was a real car. So, when you're putting the car to its limit, the uncut tread, is a lot more to handle. It's not like a NASCAR. There's actually tread on these tires. It's not a sticker tire. So they did that last season with the uncut tires, and the tires seemed at the end of the 10-race season to really chunk up and get really, really bad. Our speeds didn't really look like the tires were that bad, but the tires were really bad. So this season they were talking about doing like a 40% cut on the tires to where, it's not quite like a cut tire, and it's not quite like an uncut tire. It might save the tires and help from maybe that chunking up problem they had last year. But all in all, I'm excited, to see, what the different tires do and how they work. So you're always chasing the car and chasing the series to see, to try to be successful, and the uncut tire deal, that's one of the only tracks at Atlanta Motor Speedway to do that, to do the uncut tire thing. And when they first announced it at the beginning, I think they started 2 or 3 years ago. When they first announced it, everybody around the country was like, oh, that's not going to work. That's crazy talk to race an uncut tire. But it seemed to work out, and it seemed to really work out for me. I love the uncuts. I do really good. The whole purpose of the whole uncut deal, the purpose of why they do it is to equalize the whole entire field. We're all running the exact same tire, because you can get your tires cut by different people all around the nation.
That's
and some people, some believe that some are better than others. Some can cut better. Some can, there's, conspiracies about, people messing with tires and that sort of thing, putting grippier stuff on tires. So that uncut tire really equalizes the field. You've got to draw which tires you got to run. So when you go to the racetrack, you're unloading your car with tires that you're not even going to run or on the track. You got to go to the tire shed to pretty much rent your tires. So that's the whole deal. It's a very cool thing they did with the series, and it really, really equalized the field, and it made for some very good racing over the past 2 summers. So they're doing it again. They're making some tweaks to it this season, and I'm excited, to try the 40% cut and see how my car handles with that.
Now, do y'all take it? That was something I was really interested in. Do y'all like take it to a guy who does the cutting, and you have like your guy, or are there people who ship these tires off to California somewhere because there's some dude that kind of like running whiskey, sure, where there's there's a guy up in Tennessee who has the best stuff.
Everybody's got a guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah, his name's Cody Haskins. He does good work for us. He cuts our tires, but he does much more than just cut tires. But he does really good at it. And we could buy a tire cutting machine, and me and my dad's sort of talked about it and stuff. But Cody Haskins does a phenomenal job on cutting the tires. And but like I said, there's many people that do it. He's up in Kennesaw, Georgia. I think towards kind of close to where y'all are at. But he's up there, and we really do got to drive up there get our tires cut by him. He has it figured out, and he's done it for years. So that's where we get our tires from. But there's other really, really good people. There's, North Carolina, just like NASCAR. That's the heart of racing. So there's multiple guys up in North Carolina that specialize in the tire cutting. And there's another guy in Georgia that we've tried, or that he does a lot of work to our cars anyways. Doug Stevens. They're really good at cutting those tires. So we go to him.
So let me ask you this. Is the reason why they allow you to cut the tires is because if they allowed you to actually put camber in the suspension, that would be a more costly endeavor for teams?
No, we can put camber in suspension. These cars are very, very what would you say? They're almost like built like NASCARs. You can do camber. You can do all kinds of stuff with the steering. But the point of the camber in the tires, you put camber in the suspension, and then you cut the camber in the tires to where the whole thing's touching the ground. So, with all the threads touching the ground, and it makes the car handle tremendously better. And cutting the tires, it's crazy because we don't even change the camber in the suspension with the uncut tires. We just go to the racetrack and throw the uncut tires on, and we're I would say when you first put the uncut tires on, you're probably, I can't remember exactly how much, but it's about 7 or 8 tenths slower.
Wow.
Which is tremendous, yeah, as you might know. It's
in a 12-second lap, for sure.
Goodness.
Yeah. And it's pretty neat when we run the uncut tires throughout the whole season. We get faster and faster and faster every race with the uncuts because you run the same uncut tires every race. So by the end of the season,
so they're building their own camber.
What's that?
Well, so they're building their own camber
and you're
that's what I'm getting ready to say. At the end of the season, we've actually wore camber into the tires, So yeah, I mean, we get faster and faster and faster. So that's the point of cutting your tires is, you get a smooth surface for one, but you already go ahead and just cut the camber into them. You don't have to wait, 10 weeks of racing to cut the camber in them themselves. So it's a pretty neat deal.
Yeah. Well, and I would suspect that like a brand new, fresh, uncut tire, that the outside of it probably is the most vulcanized, and you start shaving some of that off, it starts wearing faster. And then the closer you get to what we would call the wear bars on a street car, the more surface area the tire is
now
actually
you're in the
hitting,
good stuff. Yeah.
Hitting the track, and you're getting closer to a racing slick.
Right. Yeah, we have wear bars on these as well. And it's funny when you buy a new tire and you cut it, you literally cut probably 75 or 80% of the whole tire off. Close to the wear bar. So, I mean, it's crazy because it's like, what's the point of buying new tires if you're going to cut the whole thing off? But the times tell. It's definitely faster. It's a little more costly, but the times tell. I mean, it's the way to go. And in a right rear tire, when you're turning left going around a NASCAR track, or a racetrack, and NASCAR is the same way. The right rear tire is the most worn. All the weight of the car is all leaning on the right rear. So those right rear tires, once you cut them, they're only good for like 3 or 4 races until the wear bar. You can't even tell where the wear bar is at. So you got to throw it away and buy another one. Cut another one up. So
I've driven
pretty funny.
I've driven some tires down past the wear bar.
you know something a little something about that,
especially on my right rear.
Burn rubber.
What's crazy about doing this whole thing, Sherwin, and learning more about this, I mean, here's a whole spectrum that I didn't even know existed. You know what I mean? Like cutting tires, cutting camber into tires, I would have never thought of that. But the fact that that's like a whole industry that exists, too.
Yeah, I think you shocked some folks that are in our in the watch feed here, in the chat feed. They're like mind blown. You're actually putting camber in the tire. You know, instead of like when in NASCAR we talk stagger, right? So like depending on what race we go to, the right side tire might be 1 more inch in circumference than the left side, and they call that stagger because it's just a little bit bigger. Helps the car turn, helps you not tear the rear end gear up, all those kinds of things. But it's interesting that y'all mess with the tires so much.
Yep. Yeah, tires are very important, and you mentioned stagger. We don't really worry too much about stagger on these cars, but when it comes to the racing, you know, the pro late model trucks or even the pro late models, stagger's huge. And even the Bandolero, where I came from and where really I was really successful over the past few years in the beginning of my career, stagger was huge. You know, getting the stagger right on the tires. And in bandos, you cut the tires evenly, but you still cut them all the way down close to the wear bar. You know, so you're cutting 75% of that tire off also. But
so what's the point of that? Is that just to expose more rubber?
You know, in the bando, I've never tried not cutting the tires, so I don't really know. But you don't stagger them. I don't really know why exactly you cut the bando tire. I don't really know. I don't know that.
That's funny because I was
don't camber cut. I know that. So that's a good question. But you do put a lot of camber in the tires. In the suspension in the bando, but actually you don't camber cut the tires unlike a legend car. So I don't really know how to answer that question. I don't know if it's exposing more rubber or making it stickier, but I mean I don't know. It definitely helps though. I mean,
there's an old joke that I'm reminded of where there's this little girl and she's watching her mom cook dinner for it's one of the holiday dinners. Say it's Easter, since we just had Easter.
Sure.
And she cuts off the end of the roast before she puts it in the oven, and always cuts off. For 20 years, 25 years, whatever it was. Her mother gets old enough to where she can't really do it anymore. So she's in her own house. She invites her mother over and says, "We're going to do Easter dinner over at my house." And she chops off the end of the roast and puts it in there because that's tradition, right? And her mother goes, "Why did you chop off the end of that?" She said, "Well, I've always done it." And her mom says, "Well, my oven just wasn't big enough for the roast."
That's when those demotivational posters come in. Yeah. Tradition. Just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean it's not incredibly stupid.
Right. Oh, Roger just gave me the dad joke hashtag. You know what? I'm all in on dad joke. I love that stuff.
Dad joke's funny.
Yeah. But you know what? Why do we cut the tires in Bandolero? That's just what we do. That's just what we do. Yeah, shame on you for asking such a stupid question, Rusty.
I know, right? I don't really know.
By the way, that demotivational poster for tradition is a picture of running of the bulls at Pamplona.
That's a good place to put it. Jensen, you know what? Tell us about that number right behind you that we see, number 32. What was what's the story behind that? Or, is that another, cutting the end off the roast?
Well, my dad raced back then in the go-karts and legend cars and all that sort of thing. And he always switched around numbers, and he was like 31 and 30 and 33, and he was always toying with just in the 30s. And one day his dad was like, "Hey, how about you change the number to 32?" He was like, "That was the year I was born, 1932. So my dad was like, "That's a good idea." So he changed his number to 32, and it stuck with him. And, when he got a legend car and he stuck it over his legend car, he was like, "I'm 32. That was his number. So when my sister got into racing a year before I did, and she was like, "I'm going to be number 32. And she bought a Bandolero, and it came with the number 3 on it. And it had nothing to do with Dale Earnhardt or nothing, but it had the number 3, and it was wrapped very, very cool. It had a bunch of cool colors, and my sister was like, "I'm not taking that off." So she stuck with number 3. And I started racing the next year, and I said, "Well, she's not going to be 32. I'm going to be 32. So it's stuck since then. My sister's always been number 3 in everything she's been in. No significance to Dale, even though, Dale's a very respectful racer, and, he's a legend. But she just stuck with the number 3 because of her original car, and I've always stuck with, my dad's number, the 32 car. So I don't know. Every car I've ever, made stickered up or did a scheme for, it was always 32. It was definitely gonna be 32. So I've never thought of another number to do. It's always just stuck.
It's 32. That's the way it is. Sherwin, I brought up our notes from PETM 132 11 or 9 weeks ago only. There were 107 drivers on the number 32, but only 2 wins in the Cup Series, both by the sensei himself, Ricky Craven. So there you go.
That's right.
And we did our spotlight on Brownie King.
Oh, by the way, go ahead.
Oh no, from Johnson City. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing, but that was cool.
Well, so the current driver of the Cup number 32 is Matt DiBenedetto.
Yep.
Whose nickname is D Burrito.
Yep.
Today is National Burrito Day.
Well, there you go. Full circle.
I mean, just wrap it up in a bow and off we go.
This year he ran really good. I think it was Daytona. He was up there for the win, I think.
Yeah, so, I mean,
Somewhere.
I'm hoping D Burrito gets, who am I thinking of? Maybe the Almirola treatment, or I don't know. Who is the right person to? I guess it actually would be Alex Bowman. I hope D Burrito gets the Alex Bowman treatment, where they say, "Golly, you finishing really good in those cars that probably suck," and maybe a ride opens up. Maybe a McMurray retires or something. You know what I mean? Something along those lines where he can get a chance at a really good ride.
Yeah, he has a good personality. If you've ever watched the NASCAR Snapchat stories or whatever, he's a funny guy to watch do his thing on his daily routine and all that. He's a cool guy. So I hope he does get an opportunity. He seems like a really cool guy and seems like he does his NASCAR daily routine. Very, I don't know what to say. He works hard. Because I don't know if y'all saw it. It was on the NASCAR Snapchat story. It was him. How he works and. He did a tour of his shop and everything, and it's just a very, very small team that he runs really good with. So that's pretty neat. I could relate to that. So I was like, that's neat. I hope he does get an opportunity to, get in a better performing car like Alex Bowman did. And Alex Bowman won the lottery with what he did. That's pretty awesome what he got himself into. But yeah, Matt DiBenedetto is a good guy. And I like the number on his car.
He reminds me of David Rudiman. And in a way, Brian Vickers, in that they have such a strong personality outside of racing, that are people that you really want to pay attention to in that respect. Sherman?
Oh yeah, Matt. That dude's hilarious.
Yeah,
forget the car. Him just effing with his wife and putting that stuff on Twitter and Instagram and wherever else is awesome. And she's such a good sport. I can't believe she lets him get away with that kind of crap.
It's the stuff it reminds me of my wife. I can badger her and then she'll just give me that look like, all right, whatever. Doesn't matter.
It's hilarious.
I enjoy that.
And you know what's funny is you hear Larson talk about how those kids grew up racing together. They grew up racing quarter midgets together, and he's like, yeah, everywhere we went, Matt was the guy to beat.
Oh wow!
Really?
And now Larson's the superstar.
Yeah.
Well, let's connect the dots, ladies and gentlemen.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Jensen, so I know you're working on engine, and you're working on cutting or not cutting tires wherever you're going to. But let's talk about horsepower. There's a little sticker, like we said, over your right shoulder there. How many horsepower does that sticker give? Have y'all put it on the dyno yet? I'm pretty sure that PETM sticker adds at least I'm going to say 6, maybe 8.
6 or 7. If we're talking about, 130 total?
Oh, yeah. Then there's definitely a 5%.
3 or 4% at least.
What do you think, Jensen?
We haven't thrown it back on the dyno yet, but I know they were 145 horsepower they are. So I don't know how much that ever dynoed before, so I won't picked up, but I know it's going to pick up a little bit.
So give the folks a mental picture. Have you seen what the vinyl looks like yet?
I haven't, but I can show y'all here.
Uh-oh.
There's the rear fender right there. I'm thinking about doing something, well, if I can point, right up above, kind of right in there in the fender. Something very flashy and cool, with PETM, I don't know if I'm going to use y'all's logo or what, but once I get it put on the car, there will be pictures all over Twitter of the vinyl itself. But I'm definitely thinking right there at that rear fender, something really cool. I'm probably going to end up using y'all's logo right there. I still talk to my vinyl guy and stuff, and he's getting it for me and stuff. But I'm going to have it on the car for the whole summer, and it's going to be cool.
We like gaudy and offensive.
Yeah.
Gaudy and offensive is, that's in our blood. that's redneck blood, Oh man, when we've talked about it, Sherwin. When rednecks get money, and I'm not saying we have money. This is just part of this is the PETM Posse that has the money and stuff. But but when we see like we call it new redneck money. When you see a redneck who grew up poor and then has some money, oh man, you bet your bottom dollar he's going to have him some damn pink flamingos out in the front of his yard.
That's right.
Oh man. Jensen, let's so here's a question. So we this turned into like the driver interview kind of thing. So it's something that we always ask drivers, and I love this question. I can't remember, Sherwin. We have to go back and look at our notes to see who gave us this question first, because I love this question. Was there ever a time that you got to the track and then you realized that you forgot something that you kind of needed for that race?
I think that was Laura, by the way.
It might have been Laura. Okay, cool. And he's already shaking his head and laughing. So here we go. This should be fun.
Yeah, I have a few times actually. It's
a few times.
I have, but I've gotten lucky. I've usually left my other suit. I've had 2 different suits. Usually leave a different suit in there. I'm like, I left my suit at home, but I know I got another suit. So I end up looking goofy with a short suit that don't fit no more on me or something, and I feel stupid. I'm like, I don't know, got my stupid suit on or whatever.
Got your flood pants that come up mid calf.
High waters.
I ain't never left a helmet or nothing like that where I was completely screwed, but suit's been definitely one of them. Had my mom, wash my suit or something, and I left it right in the kitchen, got to the racetrack. And nothing makes my dad more mad, trust me, where I forget something at home. And there's been times where we leave tools probably at home just about every time we go to the track. So that's something different. But actual, race apparel wise, it's happened, and it's no fun for sure.
Man, that's I love it. The 16-year-old me was 2.5 inches shorter and
right,
probably 20 pounds less. So
I walk there in front of everybody. It's terrible. But I've done my share of loaning people equipment too. Like, oh, you forgot your suit. Yeah, I know how that feels. Here's one. Here's my backup one. So I've seen other kids run around the track in my suit because they forgot theirs at home.
That's so cool. Oh, that's awesome.
That is funny. Why not just another example of racing community too?
Yeah, yeah, you got to love that. Yeah, and you got to tell them, like, hey, this suit comes with an extra 6 horsepower. I didn't know if you knew that.
Right. But, no, that's the joke too. If you let somebody borrow something, it's like, that's 4 horsepower. You're welcome.
It's got to rub off a little bit, you think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we joke around.
DNA
my dad
in that thing.
Cars, a bunch of people's cars, and throughout the years and stuff, and we always slap the Jorgensen Racing sticker on the side of the car, to try to throw out, some advertisement of Jorgensen Racing or something like that. So we always joke around. We're like, that's, our touch is one thing on the car, but the actual sticker is 10 horsepower in itself. You're welcome, So, yeah, it's the Jorgensen Racing sticker is the speed, not the mechanical side of it.
Right. And if you win the race, I mean, we get half the pot, right? Isn't that the deal?
Right. That work. Not really, but funny.
So we know, obviously, I mean, Atlanta is the home track and whatnot. Tell us about some other tracks that are like your favorites and kind of what the differences are there in between some of the tracks that you race at.
One of my favorites, I would have to say, there's a race there tomorrow, actually. It's Anderson, South Carolina. That track is a blast. It's so fast. But as fun as it is, I've had some horrible luck there. I've been there about 3 or 4 times, and every time I've been the fastest car. I've been really fast, and just the luck is horrible. One day and every time I go there, I drive somebody else's car is what it seems like. I drove my sister's car one day, and one day, like, I've only been there 3 times, and one of the times there, I was driving her car, and the trailing arm bolt broke off, and I was going 110 miles an hour into the corner, and the trailer broke, and I, lost pretty much the whole rear end house, and just, flew over to one side of the car. So lost complete control for that. I was getting ready to take the lead in that race, and one of the biggest races of the year there was, or one of the biggest races of the year in legend cars was there about 2 years ago, and I almost won that race, but on a restart I got spun around and ended up like 8th or 9th or something that race, and that was very disappointing because I was very fast that race. So I've always had terrible luck there, but I love the track surface itself. It's a blast, and of course I love Atlanta. I've raced there since I've started racing at age 9. So I love Atlanta. I love Anderson, and In Texas, there's a track right outside the Texas Motor Speedway. It's the 5th mile there, and it's the whole week of racing is actually this week, and we couldn't make it out there this year. It started the day after Easter, so we had a whole family over for Easter there. So we ended up not working out. We could get it out there this year, but that track's a blast. It's small though. It's one from one extremity to the other. Texas is a 5th mile, and Anderson is it's a 4/10 mile, I think. It's just under half mile. So, one's going really fast and one's going really slow, but the racing's really tight. So, I love those 3 tracks. Those are probably my favorite. But, I've raced everywhere. And there's also a track up in New York. I've only been up there once, but I was very successful up there in the Bandoleros. So, there's no track I really hate. There's no track I'm going to talk bad about. Like, I love racing, but there's definitely some tracks I've been more successful in, and some surfaces that are just a little bit more fun to drive. So, but I'm willing to drive anywhere, honestly.
I love it. A 5th mile track, Sherwin. I haven't heard of a 5th mile track before. Like that's what I freaking do. I do laps like when I'm going to go work out in bigger tracks than that.
Yeah, it's small. The racing is way tight. I mean, when you turn the corner, you're literally, you could poke the guy's helmet beside you. You're so close. So, it's very close racing, and that's kind of half the reason why I like it. I mean, it's fun racing that close to people, but I also love the high speeds like Anderson. I mean, that track you're flying at. You're going 100, 110, 120 miles an hour. You're really hauling, and these small cars, it gets a little hairy, when you're going into a corner that fast.
Get a little light.
Trailing on brakes, but. No, I love the high speed, but I also love the close racing. So, I just love it all.
What'd you have, Sherwin?
4.
I don't know. You were just talking.
No, I was pointing like poking the helmet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. I think that the difference between those track sizes is like that. So that's how we understand that when these kids, we'll call them kids. This is no disrespect at all. Get from what Jensen's doing into a late model, and then they make it into a K&N East or West car, and then they get into a truck, and then they're going 200 miles an hour, and you're like, well, they've already got a lot of perspective on going that fast because, if you're doing 120 miles an hour entering a corner in a Legend car at Anderson,
good Lord,
you're learning a lot about what happens to a car when it goes that fast.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. And,
it's funny because the faster you're going in a race car, I mean, the slower you almost feel like you're going because it's all slow motion. You're usually on a small track. It's like the 5th mile at Texas. It's you can really feel the horsepower at that track compared to Anderson, but the speed are close. But the faster you're going, almost the slower it almost feels like. So I don't know. I mean, it's just how racing works. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. 5th mile, I still can't get wrap my head
around.
How
much smaller is that than a quarter? No,
like a little bit,
not a whole lot, but enough to probably notice a difference.
Like
I
track
mean,
and field
we notice a difference between like Atlanta and Darlington, and that's probably less of a percentage difference than a quarter mile to a 5th mile.
Yeah,
like
1.5 miles.
See how much smaller it is. Like you can just with your eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. The Texas track, I mean, you might say mathematically, it's not that big of a difference, but when you put race cars on it, there's a huge difference. At the quarter mile at Atlanta, the corners are very long and very, sweeping turns. You got plenty of room for racing. You got plenty of room to, not be touching each other. But the 5th mile at Texas, it's like I said, you can poke the dude's helmet beside you. You're so close. I mean, it's so close. You're touching tires. You're rubbing tires. It's really almost borderline too small to race on, but the race is fun. It works. But I don't know. I mean, it's like you said, you run around tracks bigger than that, and we're racing race cars on it, so it's pretty funny, and it works out. It works out, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's got like Bowman Gray in Winston-Salem. It's like, what are you doing with 30 stock cars out there,
man? And
on a quarter mile track and field like a football stadium track.
What blows my mind is they put the K&N East cars on that track, and
holy crap,
blows my mind to see that.
So
how do you
like
fit those?
Yeah, that they need to run that in Hickory like the same weekend, so we can go up there and totally justify.
Well, since in a week from today that we're going to be prepping, and then a week and a day from today we're going to be driving over to Bristol. I can't say it enough. Every time you go to Bristol, and the first time or the first time that anyone goes to Bristol, you go and you've seen it on TV, you've done everything, but as soon as you walk into that track and you go, at the time it was 43 cars, but say it's 40 cars, you go, you can't fit 40 cars on this stupid damn track. That's impossible. So I imagine that. So Jensen, how many cars are on the track at the same time on this 5th mile?
Oh, the 5th. Well, really, I'd say as much that shows up. I mean, the car count for a normal race is 28 cars, and I don't think they've ever had that problem where they've had to, make the limit 28 cars. But the most I've raced on there was a solid 16 probably, or 17 or 18 cars out there on a 5th mile track. So like literally you're lapping people in 5-6 laps. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy racing, especially when you got the leaders going through lap traffic and that sort of thing. I mean, it's like Bristol. When you watch Bristol, they're lapping cars in 20 or 30 laps, not much.
Less,
I mean,
probably.
It just makes for some exciting racing, and really you can win races not being the fastest car in those sort of races if you just work your lap traffic right. So that's why Bristol's so fun to watch. I mean, it's cars flying through lap traffic, and definitely having to watch your surroundings and make sure you're not going to crash with a lap car, because there's nothing more horrible than that. But I mean, that's kind of like Texas. I mean, it's funny how it works. And then you got Anderson, the big track, where literally it's all about getting that car fast and staying out front, because you ain't got lap cars until probably, you probably won't lap cars there, to be honest, because it's so big and, you're going so fast. But and the races are so short. But that Texas track, you're lapping cars quick, and it gets hairy for sure.
Do you is Anderson the biggest track that you race at right now?
It's equivalent to the biggest. I've raced. Well, I say that. I mean, I raced the truck at Pensacola, which is a half mile.
Okay.
But those are bigger cars. They have to have a bigger track. There'd be no way you could fit those on a 5th mile track. So and they're faster, so you don't feel like you're going around the track the same amount of time just about as we're going around Anderson. So in a legend car, that is. But I've raced the half mile in the truck, but in a legend car, the 4/10 miles borderline too big for the legend car, like I said. So I think I've seen them race I've seen videos on YouTube. You could probably find them where legend cars race on the inside banking of Bristol, and that's I don't know if we'd do that. That's hauling butt. That's too dangerous. I mean, they're flying there, and so I've never done that. But the 4/10 is as big as I've gotten in this car. So and like I said, I probably wouldn't go no bigger, because you're starting to look at some serious, if you crash, some serious injuries is going to happen. But they're good built cars. I mean, they're 4/10 miles good. And I've actually, one of my hardest crashes was on a 4/10 mile down in Florida at Orlando. But like I said, Anderson's equivalent to the biggest I've gotten in this car.
Gotcha.
I was going to say, if you took your legend car to Bristol, do you think you'd even have to lift?
Well, if you went on the banking, probably not. But they race the inside banking and actually pit road. They go, I guess, through pit road stuff. So
okay, so that probably shrinks it down to about 4/10.
And there's a good question: which one's faster, Sherwin? Which if you
it
went
would
up
depend
on
on which gear you had in it.
Yeah.
And if you could upshift, well, you probably wouldn't need to upshift. I mean, the kind of power and the kind of weight that a legend car has, if you could run the absolute bottom, hook the apron, I don't think you'd have to lift in a Legends car.
I want to see him scream down pit road at Bristol. That would be super cool to watch. Either way, that's neato. That's right out of like the Charlotte All-Star race where they're.
I mean, it's not perfectly 2x. So when you look at Bristol and you compare that to if you compare that to a quarter mile, the straightaways aren't twice as long. That's not how it works. Maybe Martinsville's a little closer to what that would be.
A little more paper clippy.
Because the corners are a lot tighter. But,
right.
Hell, the Legends cars might even not have to lift at Martinsville, because they got 12 degrees of banking. Jorgensen's got Jensen. I did that. That's the second time I've done that to you, Jensen. I apologize.
No, it's like
there's no banking at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Oh yeah,
because if a Cup car or truck or Xfinity came screaming through there trying to slow down, if there was banking, some really upset cars.
Yeah. That's
well, it's kind of funny at the Atlanta track that we race. the legend cars at, the little quarter mile in the infield. It's pretty crazy, that surface. Some might not notice it when you're looking at it, but if you actually get down and pay attention to the banking on each side of the track, you got the front stretch, there is a little bit of banking for the NASCAR track. I mean, it's not like corners for sure. It's not like the corners, but you've got some of that banking, and then you go in the corner and going down pit. We go backwards down pit road. There's opposite banking when you come off turn 2 of the quarter mile.
Oh crap!
You go from that to that, so it's tricky racing. You go over a hump coming off of turn 2, and that bump really bites some people, and it upsets their car and they end up in the wall. But it's a very, very weird surface, and how it goes to opposite banking and that sort of thing. So
that's something you don't see anywhere else, Sherwin. It's opposite banking. This throws you off the track.
There's a couple of tracks where the drivers talk about how like you come off the corner and like you're going downhill.
Yeah, because you get a little bit of
you're like going back uphill, so the car gets light.
Yeah,
and yeah,
that's crazy. With that, Sherwin, let's tear it down. And tear it down this week is no race, but we did have Easter. Jensen, did you have a good Easter?
Yes, sir. We had a bunch of family over at the house, so we we had a house full. We did the whole sort of thing. I got a bunch of little cousins and stuff, so we did the whole Easter egg deal and just had a good time with the family and all. So went to church on Sunday and had a great day, and just did the whole just hang out with the family, watch some baseball. Baseball's back and all that sort of thing, and we had we have family over at the house at the race shop and stuff, so we got all the family is always intrigued with the race cars and stuff, so we hang out down here a lot to look at all the race cars and talk about racing and stuff. So that whole family's revolved around is the whole racing thing. So it's pretty neat having the race cars here, all the little cousins getting the cars and all that, so they all love it, and it's a whole good little family affair, not just my little family, but the whole family as a bulk. They all come out and support the racing and at Atlanta and all that. So we got a bunch of already awesome. Family fans and stuff. So it's neat.
That's awesome. And you told them, hey, we have a sponsor now. So
Yep, that topic.
I'm just stroking my own ego here. That's all.
We're gonna milk this for all it's worth.
I love it. Oh man, Sherwin, did you do anything?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What did I end up doing? Oh, we went down to that painted pin place. You've been there?
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
So
that's a place where if the head pin, if it happens to drop I'm getting into like bowling terminology here, but if the like different colored pin drops on the head pin, then you get a free beer if you or a free something or whatever if you get a strike.
I didn't see that happen or was not aware it was happening.
Well, some drinks will happen, as it turns out.
Right. Then I turned right around and went to an engagement party on Saturday.
Oh, cool.
That turned into Saturday and Sunday.
Look out.
I got bruises to show for it. We discussed this in the pre-race, the pre-show.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so then like Sunday was like, we didn't go to brunch. We got like I woke up at like 11:30, and I got the last one up. Of course, that's pretty normal for me. And Brian, some cool.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you want a beer? And I was like, well, I woke up with a water next to my bed and I drank it, so I'm good.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Started right off with a beer. we went to $3 Cafe. Then we went to Topgolf. Then we went to some Mexican restaurant. Like. It just never ended. Like Sunday was a complete blur.
It's funny because we had the family over, and it was supposed to be, and I say the family, I had Stephanie, my sister, and her husband Scott, and my in-laws, Ellen and Larry came over, and so it was six of us eating, and I made ham, and I made Southern-style green beans, and we made deviled eggs, and all this stuff, I had the whole
Easter stuff.
Cornbread. I had
Southern
all the fixing.
Easter stuff.
I made it. Me and Serena made it all. But it was funny because we sit down and we're gonna, it's Easter. We're gonna have a little wine with who wants wine? Oh, it's just me and Serena's mama that's drinking on the wine. All right, so we'll have
white or red.
Red.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't drink that white wine.
What
crap.
is white wine?
Yeah. Right. So. Anybody need a refill? Oh,
roofie?
a roofie. Oh, look out! Anybody need a refill? Me and her mama need a refill. All right, we get that.
Sure.
Next thing you know, this bottle's about cashed out. I'm feeling pretty good. And I look over and I'm going, hey, Ellen, you want to finish this thing off? She don't drink a whole lot, y'all. And she goes, oh, yeah. And she's holding up her glass like I'm empty. Hey, what's going on? Pull.
You pull. Yeah.
So,
somebody fires a natty from out of the screen, in the screen.
Yeah.
Bam.
I fired that thing up in there. And me and her mama, we had lunch or brunch or whatever. We had it at 11:30 is when we started, right? So this is
right about when I woke up.
This is right. So it's 12:15, and we're
hammered.
bottles of wine deep. Yeah. So Jensen, good on you. You had family over. You're the good Christian. You went to church and all that. Me and Sherwin just got effed up as a football bat.
I was hammered by 12:30, and then it was like 10 o'clock before I got home. It's not okay.
So what can I say? Once like that, always like that. What was that, Jensen?
I said half my family does the same. It's all good.
Oh, good for them.
Hey, all us rednecks got to band together.
All right, we're going to get on to the Ask PETM questions. We got some questions from the Posse, the sponsors of this whole deal. Andrew Kantian at KHANTZIAN. He says, what can a young racer and fan like myself do to get their peers into racing? How does a stereotype get broken? And at one point he said, what can a young racer, your guest whose name I won't even try to spell, like if you type it, I'm going to read it, as it turns out.
Right.
But as y'all need to know it, it's Jensen Jorgensen. There's only one O. That's all you have to know. That's the best part.
It does make it easy.
Yeah. JENSEN, JORGENSEN.
S's.
Yep. Y'all, at whatever, and at him, bro. And I know people say don't at me, bro, but at him.
Yeah, he's got the Swedish bikini team going to come visit us at some point. We're all good. Got the connection.
I love it.
That's a reference to What Women Want, by the way. It's
Okay,
a Mel Gibson, Helen Hunt movie from the early 2000s.
Me and Serena saw that when we were dating, but I wouldn't have pulled that. But all right, what's the Swedish bikini team got to
It's a funny movie.
say about that one? What can folks do to get them in, Jensen?
To get themselves into racing, the same thing I did. Buy yourself a race car and get to learning. That's pretty much what my dad and I did. We, Thursday Thunder at Atlanta. There's a legend shop there, and there's many people you can talk to over there that we can buy cars and buy used cars and buy new cars or do whatever I guess your budget says. But you just buy a car and you can get people to work on it. You can work on it yourself, but we've always worked on it ourselves. It took years of learning and that sort of thing, but it ain't hard. You just got to find a used car, and most of the time it's better off if you just find a good used car, not some piece of junk you're getting a good deal for, because you're going to find yourself spending more money on that in the long run than you will, just buying a good used car, just in the beginning. So, but what's the website called? Can't think of what it's called. There's websites where you can look up all kinds of used cars and that sort of thing. But asphalt racing is always my calling. It's what we like to do. There's dirt racing. There's all kinds of different series and stuff. But legend car racing is the most affordable. Actually, one of the sanctioning names for it is INEX, and it stands for inexpensive. So some might argue that it's not inexpensive, but it really is in the grand scheme of things. When you start looking into different levels of racing, it's pretty much as other than maybe go-karts, it's pretty much as cheap as you can ask for, racing wise. So and it's probably the most fun you will have in any series, because of the the family affair you have with it, and just the cars itself, how they drive, and it's a national deal. It's not just in Atlanta. Like I said, I've raced in Texas and New York, and out even in the West Coast there's racing. I've never been out there, but it's a nationwide deal, even Canada. So it just takes some looking into and reading to get to know what tracks near you and that sort of thing. But if it's Atlanta, if it's an Atlanta native or whatever, Atlanta Motor Speedway is the way to go. It's a great series. It's great. You can find many people that will help you if you don't know what to do. Like I said, at the Legend Shop in Atlanta, Ken Reagan actually runs that whole series. It's David Reagan's dad. He runs it down there at the Legend Shop, and he does a phenomenal job.
We saw him toting tires around. Remember, Sherman? Yeah.
Yep.
And I love Jensen's take on that question, which I felt like when I was reading it, I was thinking from a fan perspective, and Jensen's answering from a driver perspective, which is so cool.
Right. I was going to say there is a second part of that, Jensen. I think another thing Andrew Cansian was interested in knowing is, so if we all set a goal for ourselves to pull in one more race fan a year, how do you go about saying, I think racing's cool, and I think you should pay attention to it. And what's your approach to that?
Yeah, a bunch of I guess sports fans or not sports fans are like, oh, racing's stupid. It's just going in circles. It's not that way at all. It's different than that. For one, it's one good argument I always tell those people is it's okay. We are going in circles, but try to get around the circle faster than anybody else. Try to tip that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a funny sport, and really, it's a sport like no other. I've done the whole rec football and rec baseball thing, and I love football and baseball, and so I'm not saying people that do that is doing it wrong. Everybody has their own passions, but racing is definitely a sport of its own. It's not it's a team sport in the shop, but once the lights are pointed at you and you're on the stage, it's all you. It's how you perform and how you do. It's not like it's not like baseball where, say, the shortstop's having a bad game, but the whole other the pitcher pitches good, so you don't even have to worry about the shortstop. It's not that way at all. It's once it comes down to it, it's 100% you in the car and you driving the car, and I love that. I love it. It's the pressure's on you 100%. It's not a team. Like I said, team sport in the shop. You've got people helping you with the car fast and all that sort of thing, but I love the pressure, and it's I've said it a few times now. It's a sport of its own. There's not many sports out there that have that pressure on just one player or one driver. So something else is pretty neat.
Something that I love that you just said was, all right, yeah, it's racing around in circles, and this is from the driver perspective and somebody who's good at it. All right, yeah, it is. You're right. It is racing around in circles. Come out there and try to beat me at racing around in a circle. See what happens. Yeah. I love that. And then Andrew Cansian, to answer the question from my perspective, take somebody to one of those little more souped up than your Panama City, basic go-kart track. Take them to a karting track or something, or one of the Andretti tracks that Sherwin, me and you have talked about many times.
Andretti, or what was the one we went to in Charlotte?
Victory Lane in Charlotte. And get them in a car that,
will actually go.
Well, and the car, it's one of those where you run out of talent real quick.
Yes, yes.
And so, and one of those, and you spin out, and there's somebody just passing you at what looks like 100 miles an hour. And that, I feel like that can get you in. If you get into that car and you feel what's going on, then you see people doing that. That's for me, Sherman.
Yeah, so I think I've overused this analogy, but we haven't discussed it, Jensen. So what I would say is, and this is weird because it's not a power sport, is I would say the most like racing is golf, in that it takes a team to build a player. You have to have a coach. You have to have a set of sticks. You have to have a set of balls. That's like all your teammates. And then you go out there on the course, and everybody's on the same course.
Mm-hmm.
But you're only playing 2 or 3 other guys. So those are the guys you're racing around. But you're trying to beat the whole field.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the sponsorship side of it, which is no reason to have that conversation at this point because we are the most important sponsor. Ego kicking in. But, it's I totally get what you're saying. You're it takes an army to put the car together, but there's only one guy with a gas pedal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or gal, excuse me. I want to recognize that, too.
Oh, yeah. Right after our March of the Ladies over the past 4 or 5 weeks. It's been fun. Second question from Mick Rose at GoDucks42_Mick. Is there one race, I like this question, is there one race, Jensen, that still haunts you today that you may have let the wind slip away?
There is, and I know exactly the answer right when you ask the question. There's one out there, and it was my first ever gonna be win ever, and I didn't get the win. So I ended up second. And let me tell you, it took one mistake for me to never look at the mirror again. It was I was racing. It's kind of funny because I've raced oval all my life, and it was a road course race where it was a road course race at Atlanta. We raced through the infield, and all through the infield, and some, like, I guess it's an actual road course that has rumple strips and stuff, and you don't really notice it but it's in the infield. But
was this Legends or Bandoleros or what was
built for Indy?
Yeah, it was a Bandolero.
Okay.
I was about probably 11 years old at the time, and I've never been on a road course in my life. And my dad was like, "Let's go do it. Let's go try it or whatever." So I was racing around the road course, and I found myself being really, really fast. And I guess it was because I didn't have much nerves or whatever, and I was just running hard or whatever. But I was led the whole race from the very green flag to all the way up to the last corner. I looked in the mirror, and there was a guy close. Well, for one, I was like 10 or 15 car lengths ahead of everybody. I was gone. In the last lap or two, I started looking in the mirror and missing my marks, missing my corners, and coming in the last corner, I looked at my mirror and I saw the guy, coming close up to my tail or whatever. And I looked in the mirror and just missed the corner. I mean, I was young, and it was just a horrible mistake on my part, and missed the corner, and the guy got by me and won the race. And I was so upset. I was, it was gonna be my first win ever, like I'm literally ever. And I got in, and my dad was like, you looked in that mirror, didn't you? And I was like, yeah.
He knows. He's a racer.
My mistake was, and the mirrors came off the car. I was done looking in the mirrors, and that was it.
I like
looking
it.
out, your windshield and racing in front of you instead of racing behind you. So, yeah, that one haunts me still to today. I mean, that never got me a win on a road course, and it was a terrible mistake. But it was one of those things where it was the best thing that happened to me. You know what I mean? It took my race from one level to the next. Not looking in that mirror anymore and picking up my or just learning, not to look in that mirror. I mean, because it's a thing where I teach a bunch of, I mentor a bunch of drivers today, and that's the first thing I almost tell them to do. I'm like, don't look in that mirror. It'll haunt you, when you lose a race because you looked in the mirror, or you end up crashing your car because you looked in the mirror, or whatever it is. It'll haunt you, and learn from my mistake,
That's what I loved about listening to Clint Boyer's spotter, Brett Griffin, at Martinsville. He's like, I mean, as soon as Clint got some space, he goes, nothing behind you, it's all out front.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get out of that mirror.
Oh, I just got goosebumps for that. Yeah.
Get out of that mirror, boy.
That's killer.
Drive that car.
With that, I mean, we've been talking forever. Let's go ahead and gas it up for next week, y'all. Here it is. Ooh, look out. We're going to Tejas, Texas. A little bit bigger than the 5th mile that that Jensen's used to at Texas.
Slightly bigger.
But, yeah.
In No Limits, Texas. Like, that's the town.
There, No Limits,
It's
Texas.
like outside of Fort Worth. They
Love it.
got it legally incorporated.
Oh, that's awesome. But, I mean, some folks might call it cookie cutter, whatever we want to call it. I mean,
well, they tried to build Charlotte, but you'll hear, like, Jeff Burton say they didn't do a good job. If they was trying to build Charlotte, they didn't do a good job.
Yeah, they didn't do it right. But still
they changed it.
It's still its own thing. That's what makes it unique.
Well, they flattened the banking last year in 1 and 2.
Yep.
They've been working a tire dragon all week. They actually received feedback.
Yep.
Because Junior cussed them because they were running the dragon in the wrong groove.
I love it. I love it. Like, Junior's got a little bit of political capital right now to where if he says something, he's still got the fan base to back it up.
Well, that's
in other words, like there in 10 years from now, any new NASCAR fans won't have been around when Dale Jr. was racing. So it'll be a little bit different thing. But right now, what he says, I mean, Redneck Jesus, we're talking about, like.
Oh, and I got hard up in trouble with somebody for saying Redneck Jesus, by the way. And I'm like, Marty Smith, like the most prominent on-site reporter at ESPN, that's what he calls him.
Right,
like,
right.
Come on now. This is not, like, I'm not offending the Christian sacrilege here.
No. I mean, we're paying homage to the 406.
Paying homage to the 406, which is why we even started doing this in the first place.
Right. So if Marty McGee said it, I mean, we should be able to, at least be close.
So to get back to where you were going, you're 100% right. Junior has a ton of built up, 100%, ton of built up, equity in emotion and communication in the NASCAR community. He may not have it in 10 years. I don't think he'll ever get as far away from it as Darrell did.
Mm-hmm.
Because he left the sport in a different fashion in a lot of ways, but he just speaks his mind very honestly. And
yeah. And so what he says, it takes a lot of. There's a lot of capital in that, I guess what I'm saying, and what I was trying to say before. But with that, Sherwin, let's make some picks.
All right. Who has to go first?
Jensen, do you want to make some a pick for the Cup race in Texas and show these idiots?
We only pick Cup.
Yeah, because we don't want to even.
I don't even know who's running in Xfinity.
Who knows? I'll pick Elliott Sadler every week. I love Elliott.
Absolutely.
And Brett Griffin. There you go. He just won. Holy crap! He's probably still hungover trying to do that race. But Jensen, tell us who's going to win Texas.
I'm going to have to go with Martin Truex Jr. I mean, he's too good on those mile and a halves, and he's been sleeping on us a little bit this year. I say that. I think he's got to win already. But did he win the other week?
Yes,
he
did. He did, but yeah. So, I mean, he's picking it up anyway, and he's too good on those mile and a half, so I'm going to go with him.
That's a great pick. It's a great pick. Sherwin, I mean, give me a reason not to pick Harvick. Right, he's dominating this season. SHR in the mile and a halves this year is money. He is. What was I going to say?
I don't.
And won the last Texas race. Like he was.
He definitely won Texas last fall.
Right. So I have to pick Harvick. Like there's some of these where I try to be insightful and try to be like, hey, look at me. I'm good at NASCAR and I can pick stuff. And there's some where it's like I just got to go with this might be like a what do they call it in Vegas, like a 1 to 5 pick where like if you bet $5 you might get 6 back. But like I'm picking Harvick. Damn it.
That's a strong, to very strong pick.
Yeah. Good too. So
So I'm gonna go. So I didn't warn you this beforehand, but I'm going to give a dark horse not to win, but the dark horse to have a better finish than people think they probably are going to have.
I like this.
So to win, I'm picking Mr. Ryan Blaney.
I like that.
And my dark horse to have a little bit better finish because the team is based out of Texas or are owned out of Texas, a Texas developer, Levine Family Racing.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Casey Kane.
Casey Kane.
I'm going to pick him to have a top 20 finish. Because that's better than what they've been doing.
Come on. No, you got to do better than that, dude.
How about top 15?
Give it a top 15. Give me a top 15.
Top 15.
I like it. There it is. With that, let's take it to the stranger Stang. Ashley J. Stang brings us a question this week. I love this question. And, Jensen, we'll give you a minute to think about this one. What's the most awkward thing you've overheard or saw at a restaurant? So you've been in a restaurant and something happened that was pretty awkward or weird. Sherman, the one that came to my mind, because I don't think mine's going to be the funniest.
I don't have anything.
You don't have anything.
I can't. I couldn't think of anything.
Have y'all ever had? Have you, Sherman, ever had a waitress or waiter quit while you're?
Yes,
like this has happened 3 times to me.
Oh,
and I don't know if it's me.
I do have one.
Okay,
good.
All right. So this happened 3 times to me, and I don't know if it's me. Like, am I the X factor here? I don't know what the story is, but so the most prominent one that happened, we were out in West Georgia and we were eating dinner, and it was me and I think my sister's on here. She might remember it, and Mama and Daddy, and we were sitting there, and the waitress comes out, and she was fine. Like, she was level headed, everything was cool. We're eating our food, drinking or whatever, and like she goes back into the back, and like you hear some like. More
aggressive language,
more elevated noises than you might expect out of this type of situation. Then you might hear more pots and pans clanging than you might expect out of. Like there was some pots and pans getting rattled at least. We'll say.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we know, the manager of the restaurant comes out and says, "Folks, I'm really sorry about the whole situation. We had an issue with your waitress, and we're going to comp you all this stuff that they comped. Like, they could have just come out and gave us somebody different. We wouldn't have known, other than the like strange situation that was going on behind the door. But they comped us a few things, and so it all worked out. But it was really funny to be like, hi guys, can I take your order? And then, all this crap that happens in the background and pots and pans clanging around and stuff. And then next thing you know, manager comes out, sorry about all that. Here's some free appetizers and drinks and stuff, and we're good. So probably the most awkward thing to happen to me. That was the most prominent. I've had 2 other situations. I've had 3 waiters quit. Maybe it's me. Maybe they come to the table. They're like, you know what? That guy, ugly as hell. I'm out.
Well, you are such an a-hole.
Right? Well, there's that too. I can be that,
All right, Jensen, you still need some time to go. As I recalled, I knew I would recall something as we started this exercise.
Right.
So I do have my story.
Now, something fine. We were at a little restaurant or what, local Italian. I wouldn't say it was awkward, but there was guys behind us talking about racing and something like that. They were talking about motorsports or something, and they were talking about how they were in motorsports. So I turned around, I was like, hey, what are y'all talking about? So we ended up starting this random conversation with these people, and they ended up being like this famous road racing guy. It was like sports car racing or something like that. So I wasn't too familiar with what he was talking about, but it was kind of like a little eavesdropping, and it was kind of awkward. I was like, hey, what are y'all doing? So it was pretty funny how we just kind of jumped into a racing conversation.
Wasn't Ryan Eversley, was it?
Eavesdropping. What's that?
I said it wasn't Ryan Eversley, was it?
I don't know. It was guys out of Stockbridge, right where I am, and I never heard of them. They were sports.
Ryan Eversley lives
I'm not sure.
Atlanta.
They were racing, so it was pretty neat to get in the conversation with them and talk about it. But some eavesdropping went on, and that's how the conversation got started. But it's pretty cool.
Sherwin?
All right, so this isn't like there's been already too much build-up. This really isn't that funny or nothing. It is just one of those awkward things that happens. So when I was a kid, believe it or not, for those that can see me, I was a soccer player. All right? And we went to Charleston every Thanksgiving for tournaments from age, I want to say 11 to 15. So it was 4 or 5 years in a row we would go to Charleston. So this was probably when I was 12 or 13 years old, and we would stay in Mount Pleasant, which is right outside of Charleston, in a Comfort Inn or Holiday Inn or whatever, and there was a Huddle House next door. We gotta go get breakfast. Games at 8:30. We gotta go get breakfast. And it's 6:30 in the morning.
Weird People Waffle House.
It is. It is it's like Waffle House. For the people that didn't know that Waffle House existed. And we get in there, and it's wait is forever. It turns out, during the process of us coming in the store, their short order cook quit.
Okay.
Just threw in the towel and said,
I'm out. See you.
And there's a guy sitting in the bar, young guy sitting in the bar, way younger than us, probably about Jensen's age. Sitting at the bar, watching what's going on, and he goes, hey, look, I'm a short order cook. If you give me an apron, I'll get you caught up. Will you give me breakfast for that? And they're like, hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they threw him an apron, and he was like, he got the whole store caught up.
Wow.
And then, as we were getting our food, he's back at the bar, eating the food that he cooked for himself as he got the whole store caught up. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's actually awesome. Yeah. That's a cool story. I love it. With that, Jensen, why don't you close us out? Tell us what's going on. Tell us what's next. And, you heard that huge list of folks at the very beginning of the show.
And tell everybody where they can find you on the social media stuff and all that.
And how long till we can get some swag? We need some hats. We need some shirts.
We need to be hawking
I need some
shirts for you.
You know what? I need number 32 underwear. I need all kinds.
That's a little bit much, but
just right there on the ass too. I need
shirt on PETM on the one side and 32 on the other.
Oh yeah. One cheek each.
That's funny.
We can't end this show without getting off the rails.
Yeah, apparel. There's many that do it. I got to get it done. I don't know about the underwear, but definitely some shirts or something cool like that. But I got to get to working on that. That's one thing we're bad at, that sort of thing. We're bad at advertisement, that getting sponsorship and all that. It's pretty neat how somebody came to me to get that done. So
we can help you with the T-shirt side, I think, because we have a connection through other networks that are using a service.
I'm gonna find me some damn underwear.
Yeah, what was the Fat Cobra tees?
Oh yeah, Fatco.
We should all get on the phone with them and see
we'll figure
what it
something
looks
out.
like.
But either way, close us out. Tell us what's going on, where folks can find you.
Yeah, of course, Twitter is where y'all found me. It's everything's just Jensen Jorgensen. Instagram's just Jensen Jorgensen. And if you have a problem spelling that name, just know how to spell Jorgensen. Take the O-R-G out, and it's my first name. So,
nice. I just noticed that for the first time. That's totally true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat how that my name spells out. But anyways, Jensen Jorgensen on Twitter, Jensen Jorgensen on Instagram, and even Facebook. Everything's, I talk about daily life deal and what's going on in my everyday life and also the racing world and that sort of thing. But definitely follow me. I got a pretty good following behind me, and I enjoy to hopefully in the next week or two get some vinyl put on my car and get some pictures of that posted on my social media.
Yeah.
Everybody would love to see that, and I'm ready to see it. I think it's going to be really cool too. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully we can get that. But yeah, follow me, follow along. The summer's coming up fast, so there'll be a bunch of results of how my summer's going and that sort of thing, and of course I'm going to keep PETM and their whole posse updated with how I'm doing, and hopefully hopefully I can get on and talk about how the season's going, either right before the beginning or even hopefully the end. But I can get on there and talk about how the season went. So I'm excited to keep in touch with you guys and tell you how I'm doing, and I would love to get back on the radio soon.
Yeah, so I'm interrupting Rusty again.
Do it.
I want to tell you something, Jensen. I reached out to Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I don't know how many times we'll actually get to do this, but they have extended us a Thursday Thunder media pass. So we will be able to be down there as often as we want to.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love it.
Sure. I hope y'all guys can come out and see your sticker on my car, and hopefully we can get a bunch of, like I said in the last interview, hopefully we can get some cool pictures of the PETM 32 car in Victory Lane, and I bet the posse would love that.
I think they would very much.
Sherwin, I believe that if you give Jensen a follow there on the Twitter, you get he'll send you like 3 Swedish models, as it turns out.
Easily.
Male or female. Male or female, whatever your preference is.
I hear the dudes are pretty good looking too. I don't know how that goes, but
I mean, shoot. Who am I to judge? Here's the deal, y'all know where to find us. Thank you for joining in. It's PETM Podcast, and that was Jensen Jorgensen. This is your driver, y'all. Whether we're deep into the ditch or not, that's how it is.
I think you're going to like him. I think you're going to love the fact that we're going to be following Jensen's every move, and he's going to be telling y'all what he's up to. He's going to be winning races more than likely because he's a really good race car driver, and we're going to be doing what we do every week, PETM Podcast, at PETM Podcast, both on Twitter and on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook, same thing. You can find Rusty at Tailgate Mayor.
You know it.
You can find me at Pregame Engineer, and on the Instagram I'm Andrew L. Sherwin. So let's do this. Let's have a season.
This is awesome. Thank you, Jensen, for being on, and we will talk to y'all next week. There it is. Recording is over. Cheers to Sherwin. He's been holding there for me, but I've had to do a little technical stuff. Jensen, that was awesome, dude. We're still live on the YouTube.
Yeah, we like to give a little bit extra on the back end.
Yeah, a little post-game show there. But, man, that was...
That's your introduction to our, 75 minutes of chaos.
Our insanity.
No, it was cool. Thank you guys for having me. That was pretty cool, and I hope a bunch of the posse was able to see that and get to know me. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think so. Well, so we had 16 people, I think, were dialing in the whole time, which is a good number. That means, I think probably between 60 and 100 people will probably end up watching some piece or part of the YouTube, which is cool. And it'll be up in all the audio places. Just Rusty's cranking away over there. That's what he does. In about 10 or 15 minutes at the most, it'll be available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Google or Pocket Cast, Pocket Knife, or Pod Knife. Like there's a million places. Like we joked about this, but if you just go Google PETM Racing Podcast, I promise you have some platform on your device, whether it's a laptop or a phone, that you can listen to this thing or watch this thing.
Right, right.
And the cool thing about the modern day, smart TVs and stuff is we've had people that, will go down to their shop and want to, tinker with some stuff, and they'll put it up on their TV.
Yeah.
And, watch it on the television like it's a TV
Smart
show.
TVs and all that, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
It's
PETM Posse is the best. I haven't been following along with, we can do underwear. Trust me, says a beast.
All right, so we've already found you a partner for apparel.
All right.
No, just underwear.
Oh, just underwear? Is it MeUndies? Because that's some good-ass underwear.
Well, there you go. All right. Like I said,
Got a pair on right now.
Nice work.
I
love it.
We can get you connected.
What in the world? I hate it.
Who's TJ? Can confirm currently on the television. There he is. TJ What's-His-Face is watching on TV.
There we go.
Attaboy.
How about that?
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Jensen, we had a great time. I don't know how long we've kept you past what you thought your time commitment was.
Not at all.
We will try not to. We will certainly, absolutely not in any way, shape, or form abuse this relationship, but we're going to enjoy it to the fullest, and I hope you will too.
I will. I mean, I appreciate you guys for having me, and I appreciate all y'all did for me, and I'm excited to get the season started up and see you guys down in Atlanta in the summer.
We're looking forward to that for sure.
I guess I didn't see it before we talked the first time, but looked like you started off your racing season kicking some pretty serious ass on the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, we kicked some butt down there the other day at Atlanta, and there's supposed to be a race, like I said, Saturday, but the weather don't look like it's going to cooperate. But
unless we decide to change it gear.
Yeah, we could go.
Hashtag blame PETM on the weather thing.
Oh yeah, somebody said maybe it was Roger early. He
said, y'all must be in Atlanta this weekend. Well,
yeah,
yes, we are.
We're famous for bringing weather to everywhere we go, and evidently everywhere that we live. So there it is.
Right.
With that on the YouTube, y'all, thank y'all YouTubers for joining in. We're going to shut her down.
That was one of the best chat boards we've had.
Oh, yeah. Thank
great.
you, PETM Posse, for hanging out. Y'all are the best. And, I mean, this is your driver, y'all.
You know,
Jensen
what's one of the
Jorgensen
cool things about this YouTube show is the way we've set it up live is, if you go back and just watch the show, if you play the show, you can actually watch the chat feed happen real time.
Yeah.
In relation
so you get all the stuff.
What you're seeing.
Yeah,
So
super
that's
cool.
pretty cool.
Super cool. Thank you, YouTube, for hanging out. We'll talk to y'all next week. We're going to have some fun.